Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish.
And we got to experience the eclipse.
Yes, we did.
In our area.
We were in the path of totality.
We sure were.
It was cool. I mean, I don't know. I guess the last time when we had an eclipse in like 2017, it just was like a partial for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know exactly what to expect. I knew it was going to get dark, but
I know. I didn't really know what to expect either because it was like, I don't know. And then everybody started making like a big deal about it ahead of time. And I'm like, what is even going to happen? And then when it was starting to cover, it was still kind of bright out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is it actually going to get dark?
Right.
And I had told my son that it was going to get dark and it was going to be fun. And then when it wasn't, he's like, why isn't it getting dark?
Why did you lie?
And it finally.
I know, it's crazy like how I mean, we know the sun is so bright, but even when the majority of the sun was covered, only a little sliver, it was still like daylight. Yeah.
I know. It was really cool though.
I liked looking at it through the glasses.
I know.
And seeing it change.
I know, it was cool. And I was helping my son too. Like I would make sure I pressed the glasses against his face because I knew. But then I kept doing a thing where I was like looking up. And then I was done, so I would just like do this. It's like, why? Or just like lift it off my face. I'm like,
I mean, listen, we've all looked at the sun before.
I know. I was like, is it worse on an eclipse day? And it's like, I get you're not normally like just staring at it. But it just seemed like everybody was like, it's so bad. And then they're like, watch your animals.
I know. Did you leave them inside?
No, they're outside.
Well, I doubt they like looked up at the sky.
They were to it, you know, paying attention to what me and the kids were doing.
They probably didn't even notice. Like, did they react at all?
No, but I was reading too that they might get sleepy because it's like, I don't know, their bodies like getting all asleep. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I really wasn't paying attention to what the dogs were doing.
They weren't anything more drastic than usual. I did see, because I was over at my dad's. My grandpa came over. We all watched it. And my dad has a birdhouse on his shed. And the birds like went into their birdhouse. Like they were confused. Yeah, they're like, it's nighttime. And they all like, all the birds were kind of freaking out. And then all of a sudden, like, everything was just quiet. Like when it was dark.
So quiet when it like happened.
Yeah. It was like everything around you was like, it is night. Yeah.
I know this stuff with like space, like this kind of stuff always kind of makes me nervous because it's so out of our control.
I know.
Like
right?
It's like, ew. And then all of a sudden you realize that you're just like on the floating rock rotating around.
And how small you are.
Literally.
Minuscule compared.
It's too much. I can't.
Sometimes I'll have those like thoughts where I'll be like, the world is spinning right now. And it's like in my mind, freaky. It's like the camera zooms way out. And then I'm like, no, you can't go there.
It's so free. Like, I can't even really like, and the thing too, like, if you're just a regular person, it's like, we're not going into space. Like, we literally have no idea what it truly like is up there. And it's just so freaky.
That's why when they were putting like those random celebrities up into space, like when William Shatner went and stuff, and he was just basically in awe of it. I mean, you have to be like, that must be the most wild experience.
I feel like my brain couldn't actually comprehend because it's like we see those like videos from the satellites and stuff where you're like looking down. Like I feel like it just literally be that, but you're actually up there and I can't even like
understand.
I know. Or like when the moon gets into that like when it's orange and it's so spooky. I remember my stepsister told me one time that her friend told her that when there's an orange moon, your dad would turn into a werewolf. And I would always think that, like, my dad's going to turn into a werewolf.
But you never saw it.
But it literally never happened. But it would freak me out because it was
never happened, thank God.
I was worried. But, Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, space stuff is crazy because it's just so like large scale, like we can't even
comprehend
it. Like our minds almost can't process it.
Or like if you see a star, it means it already blew up like 10 million years ago.
It's like we're just now seeing this.
It makes sense. Did you ever watch Interstellar?
No, I never saw that one.
That movie, I watched it like a long time ago or whenever when it came out, and I'd love to watch it now because I feel like, because I just remember back then I was like, I like can't grasp it, but I feel like I could grasp it a little bit better, but maybe I couldn't because it was so like time and
I remember I watched Gravity in theaters, which like that had like an emotional story behind it anyway, with like, you know, she gets lost out there, George Clooney dies out there, you know. But when Sandra Bullock like came back in her little ship and like crawled out of the water onto the sand, I literally had a meltdown like in the theater. Like it was just like, I don't know. Like I was just like processing everything that she had been through. And I can't even imagine being in space and then coming back down onto Earth. Like it was like too much for my emotions to even like cope with.
I know, and it's crazy. Like it was kind of like that too in Interstellar, where he'd like come back, but his child was like grown, like because of the time thing, and like he was still younger, and it was just like, whew.
It's so I don't know.
I know it's intense.
It's fascinating, but it is just.
No, it's definitely cool. I probably wouldn't have traveled to see it. But
no, I wouldn't have either.
If it lasted, like if it was like that for like, which I know it can't be for like an hour or something, it would have been like worth traveling for. But
because we said we wished it was a little bit longer, even if it was like 5 minutes,
right?
Because I think for us it was like 2 or something.
I think so and it went by so fast.
Yeah, it really did. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
it's brightening up again.
But it was really, I mean, I saw stuff on the TV, on the news, and people were like losing their minds about it. Like I thought it was so cool and something amazing to experience, but I wasn't like dying over it. You know what I mean? Like,
it was more like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like a little kid, like, wow.
Right.
So cool. But
it was, or I didn't realize that the next time we will be in the path of totality is 2099. So unless we travel, that'll be the only.
I know. Well, isn't it too like with where it's going to be next time, or like the next few times will be hard for like isn't one in just like a spot in Alaska or something?
Yeah, I think the next one that's in like, what was it, 2044 or something? I think that one's only hitting like 2 states, like within the states, not counting Alaska. That's like, I don't know, not in our big clump of states. How do you describe that? Like,
North? I don't know.
Like, because Alaska's kind of like on its own and Hawaii's on its own. Not on the mainland.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't even know if we'll get any of it.
I know. So it was like really a once in a lifetime.
And like 2099, we probably won't even be alive.
I know. Well, yeah, we'll probably be gone. So
yeah,
it's weird too that like we got it.
I know.
We don't get anything up here.
Nothing.
And we freaking got it. Like, what are the odds?
Like northern Ohio gets nothing cool.
No. And we just like looks for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. So for anybody who's listening who didn't see that, I mean, I would say like if it's within a reasonable distance to you, I would travel to it now that I know what it was.
It's like was a sight to behold.
It was
for sure.
It was. I just see on the news that people, I don't know where it was, like a mass amount of people got married.
Yeah, I seen stuff like that
what
too.
The heck?
I know. I'm like, did you know? Like, how far in advance did you know the eclipse? Because I feel like people just started talking about it like 2 months ago.
Right. Like, I mean, obviously the scientists and astrologers or whatever, they knew, but like I didn't know.
I know. And it was on a Monday, so you had to have like a Monday wedding.
Yeah, and like they were just people all in a field getting married. It wasn't even, they're like, this is so special. Why is it though?
I know. Like, or like I saw people are getting proposed to too, and it's like, I want to look at the moon. I mean the sun getting covered by the moon. I don't want to look at down.
I'm not looking down at you with my glasses that black everything out. I'm not even paying attention.
I know. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I wish that I could have captured like cool photos. I
know
of it.
It wasn't working.
Our iPhones just couldn't. Damn it, iPhone.
I know. I was like, and you could see it so clearly in person, and then I'd like look at my phone. It
was horrible.
Like, it's not
Isn't
working.
Our camera quality supposed to be unbelievable?
Right. Can't capture this.
Yeah. But I did see some other people that had like professional cameras did get really good pictures, but oh well, we saw it with our own eyes, so
we were living in the moment.
Yeah.
It's right in here.
Because
trapped.
we tried and we couldn't get the photo. Oh well. I listened to the Not Skinny Not Fat interview with Brittany from Jackson. Why can't Cartwright? I was gonna say I can't remember her last name. I will say I was a naysayer of like, is this real? Because I thought that it was so weird that she was being so forthright with like TMZ and stuff when she's never talked about the relationship like that before. But knowing Brittany, like, I don't think that she would do that for publicity.
Right.
Like, I think that she is genuine. And then the more she kind of detailed it in this interview, I'm like, okay, like now I feel kind of bad for thinking that she could have been trying to play this up for the show or something. But I don't know. I feel so conflicted about those two because on one hand, I think that Brittany deserves a lot more than Jax can give her, but on the other hand, like I kind of like them together.
I know. I guess I don't understand. Like, you've put up with cheating and everything else, and then this is what's tipping you over the edge. Like, I don't know.
And it doesn't really sound like it was just one thing. Like she said that they got in a fight and then she just kind of woke up and was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess they say that happens sometimes with people where they just realize everything all at once. But at the same time, it's just like you said, you've put up with so much for so long.
I know.
I don't know. I mean, and then I saw some comments from people that were like, she knew exactly what she was getting into and she planned all this. She wanted to be famous, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, even if she did, like, is she not allowed to change her mind?
Right.
Like,
I know. You can only put up with a grown man well into his 40s.
Yeah, acting like a child. I know. And now they have a kid. So that kind of puts things in perspective a little bit more.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I do feel like they definitely I don't know. But I also feel like it'd be so hard to like go back and rewatch your fights.
Oh my God.
Back on camera and then like get re-mad all over again. Because sometimes even if you're just thinking about something that you were mad about,
you get like, mad again. Yeah.
Like I'm sure that was just not good for them too. So,
but at the same time too, though, it's like where does Brittany go from here? And not even just with like a relationship, whatever. I mean, I think she could easily get in a relationship with somebody else, but just like her career really has turned into the shows that they've been on, and now they have their podcast, and Jax has the bar. Yeah, it's like they've really made all this stuff together.
I know, it is weird. I know it is kind of like Tom and Ariana too, where it is like you're maybe stuck in a relationship where your whole income and everything, like that would just be,
you're tethered.
What are you left with?
Right. I know.
So yeah,
it was interesting too, because she said that they were talking about like the house and stuff. Now she moved into an Airbnb, and she's gonna have a really hard time like letting go of the house if they don't get back together, and they'll have to figure out what they want to do. But she's like, that was my home. That's my child's home.
Right.
And she said that they both put down the same amount for the house, but like now Jax pays the mortgage and she pays all the other bills.
Gotcha.
Which is just, I think it's really interesting to hear how people manage their finances when they're celeb couples.
I know, because they're so separate.
Yeah.
Well,
she said they have completely separate accounts.
Which is like, the part that is weird to me with that is like how... It's like, it's not that weird, I guess, that they have separate accounts and stuff, but then it's like, what is the point of being married if you're both just paying roommate dues?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I know.
It just seems like, and I don't know if there's some kind of like with tax stuff, if it is easier just to be like, okay, this is what you're in charge of. This is what we're in charge of.
Yeah, I don't know all that. But it is still like, you know, I don't know, like just when you're splitting everything up and you want to have separate accounts, to me, it almost feels like, why do you want separate accounts? Like, are you hiding something? Are you preparing for you guys to split? If you are, then that seems like, why'd you do this anyway?
Right. It's like, I have my money you can't access to.
Yeah.
And I know, and I feel like people were, you know, so on Ariana and Sandoval about that, but yet all these married couples are literally doing that too, and now it's starting to come out a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, they weren't that weird. This is like a normal thing with
even
celebs.
with some people that, I mean, like married couples that I know, like normal people have separate accounts, and I'm just like, I don't know, maybe this is just an old-fashioned way of thinking for me, but I feel like when you get married, you're merging your assets because you're creating a life together. And
yeah, I guess me and my husband were separate for a little while, but we're not anymore. But I mean, we have like other accounts.
Like you still have your old bank account or whatever, you just opened a new one together.
Or he joined into mine, but then he still has his.
So, I mean,
but his paycheck goes into
yours.
Because I like to take control of our finances. So I saw this TikTok that was like I just seen a woman say that they just like give their checks to a man, like their paychecks to a man. And I'm like looking at the comments and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that is, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's normal. And then I'm like, he gives me his paycheck. I almost commented that, but it was a couple days old. Like, my man gives me his paycheck. And I just thought that was funny, and all the comments were so funny though. They're like, I got mad, I loaned him or the one girl said, she goes, I bought him food, or it was like something, some kind of takeout, and she goes, and then I went back and got it and ate it myself because I didn't want him to have it. It was so funny in the comments. But I was like, actually, my guy gives me his paycheck and I do what I want with it.
have complete
I
control.
literally do. Maybe that's why, because he has 2 jobs and one's like a side job. And that's like his other account.
I mean, I feel like that makes sense. Like,
right.
Even if you had your own like little, especially if you like, I don't know, wanted to surprise each other with something, and then it's like, oh well, I look at the statements and I can see exactly, or like, I don't know. I don't think that's weird.
I know it is kind of like I mean, to me, I like to see like the pile of money in a whole, because it is kind of, I mean, I know everything's easy online and like just online banking to move money around, but why do you want to have to move money around all the time?
Yeah.
Where it's like he has that little account from his side job that we can use for like extra stuff.
Yeah.
Or like he's going to buy a grill because he wants a grill.
Yeah.
So it's like he has that like, money. You can use that money.
Your petty cash.
And I can make sure everything else is paid for. But it's like, now I'm like,
but isn't that so much easier though when you, especially when you have kids, and it's like, I know,
and it's like just their little expenses, and like if I'm, whatever. But
it's not like you go crazy.
No, it's not like I'm
either.
Like buying all this stuff behind his back and not talking to him about it.
He has no say.
He literally has no idea. He's like, he doesn't even question it. He's like, well, I know you, but I do feel like. What's good about that is like that's not his strength, is like money management, and that's more my strength. So it's like it works.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I feel like that's normal. Or like
for one person in the couple like to take over. Yeah.
So
I agree. But I do wonder, I mean, I think it's something that we can't even fully comprehend when you get to these Bravo celebrities or celebrities where they have so much more money coming in.
Or like brand, like there's so many like side monies coming in.
But
and
let's get real. They're not handling their finances. They have a financial advisor that does all that, and an accountant that takes care of all that for them.
It's like, hopefully they do, because they'll get in trouble.
Smart, yeah. But that's where I think it's weird where, like, if anybody out there knows, like, what is the benefit for them to keep everything separate?
I know.
Because even if they get married and if they don't have a prenup.
Or it's like, do you think it's like that kind of like greedy mindset?
That's kind of what I think.
Yeah,
personally.
Especially like out there when they're all probably like, well, I just got paid $15,000 for this one post.
This is my money.
Yeah. And you just wonder if they're like, that's just the culture out there in general.
Yeah.
But
like, why is it a competition?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just, I don't know, with like Brittany and Jax, it's like, okay, I mean, I guess that's even enough, but she's like, I pay for all the stuff with cruise and I pay for like all of our utilities, all those other expenses. And I was just like, she was rattling off a lot of stuff, and I'm just like, how much is your mortgage? Because I feel like that's a lot.
I know, it seems like you're paying more.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like before we conjoined accounts, we did have a little bit more like, well, I'm paying for this, well, I'm paying for that. But it was like we couldn't help it because the accounts were separate. So I guess like if you were constantly doing that, it would kind of lead into this, well, I pay for this.
Yeah.
Well, I pay for this, where it's like if everything goes in, I mean, obviously you could see whose paycheck is whatever putting money in, but it's like, it does kind of feel like it's just the pot.
Well,
there's no specifics.
Money is like what the top reason that people get divorced, like feuding over that.
I know. I feel like that's not talked about enough. Like when you're like dating somebody, because there's even, I'm on season 5 of
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind, and the one girl, Stacy. And then the guy's name is Izzy. And she kind of like laid into him about the finances and stuff.
Oh, is this the guy that had like a bunch of credit card debt or something? Okay, I remember hearing about him.
And it was like, I don't know, it was really intense, but I feel like that those conversations, especially when they're like rushing into marriage, but even on a normal, like when you're dating with somebody, it's like paying attention to like their spending habits. Yeah. And like, is it the same as yours, or do they just spend everything they have and you like to save? Like that really could be a huge wedge
for
in
sure.
a relationship.
Well, I can't remember if we talked about this previously on the podcast or not, but that Jason Tardik, who was on The Bachelor, he just came out with that book that was called like Talk Money to Me. And it's exactly about that, where like these questions that you should ask in a relationship and that people don't. I feel like we did talk about this, but I can't remember. But I feel like that is so true.
I know. And I know, I mean, when we started dating, while we were young, it's like we weren't talking about that.
No.
Like I would have never thought to talk about that with them.
Right.
Before we got married.
Yeah. It's just like you don't always think about that kind of stuff, you know?
Like,
and then, fun. I mean, I think, say if your husband had like a horrible credit score and had like 3 credit cards out in his name and they were maxed, like you probably wouldn't want to start sharing accounts with him. Yeah.
Keep my money over here. Like, don't drag me into your nonsense.
You need to get that fixed first. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a kind of an awkward thing to talk about.
It is, because you don't want to, it is because people are so funny about like what they make or what they spend their money on, or like the extra expenses. Like if somebody's like, if it's really important to them to go out to eat a couple times a week, but you're like, no, let's save money and cook at home. It's like that's even like a lifestyle thing. I know. Too, which is causing the spending of the money.
I know. That's like a thing for me just in my personal life right now. Like, I mean, I don't do a lot of things that bring me actual happiness and joy, which is like sad. But like the things that I really like to do are like the workout classes that I do, and driving like 40 minutes to them and then 40 minutes back, and then paying the fees for the classes every month. It is expensive. And honestly, like it's so silly. And if I wanted to like really save money, I could stop doing that. But then I just am like, I'm sacrificing. First of all, I mean, that's like a healthy choice to be working out and whatever. But second of all, it's like, that's like some of the socialization that I get with other people that aren't my coworkers.
Right.
And that brings me like a small piece of happiness. But I weigh that all the time with just myself. Like, is it worth it to keep doing this? Is it not? Like, I need to cut back. But I just feel like if I gave that up, I would be really sad.
I know that is a tough thing, like thinking about because sometimes we'll be, you'll be like judging somebody. It's like they always have their nails done, but I mean, whatever. And then you're like, but that's their priority. Like maybe they don't go out to eat because they get their nails done, or maybe.
And it's like, if that is something that brings them some happiness, it's like, okay, like who are we to judge about that either, you know? But yeah, I know money's hard. It's just expensive out here.
It is.
It's not like, getting any cheaper.
I might buy a $50 cleanser, but
skincare. Yeah. I know.
It's like an investment though, because then you don't have to spend as much on makeup.
Exactly. And long term, we don't need to spend as much on Botox and other like facial enhancements down the road. That's why we look so youthful right now.
Right.
But yeah, I am thinking about trying to figure out like a second job, because as I mentioned before, I used to do Stitch Fix, and that was really great because that extra money would literally just like pay for my student loans, and I didn't ever have to worry about it at all. And now that that's gone, I'm like, ooh, that is a lifestyle change. But it's so hard because the reason why I quit Stitch Fix was because it was just like, it wasn't as flexible as it was before, and it was just taking up way too much time. But it's just hard to like, I don't know, find a second job that fully works into your lifestyle without you just getting so burnt out.
I know, that is tough, because it's like, I want like something I can do like once a month. that like gives me.
That's gonna give me an extra $1,000.
Is that so much to ask?
If anybody has any ideas.
And then when it gets to summer, it's like you don't want to be working.
I know, because you don't want to be tied down. Like you in the summertime when it's nice, you just make plans on the fly way more easier, and you don't want to be, oh no, I have to work.
Right.
You know? I don't know. I
know it's hard. And then but like if you know somebody, you know, then all of a sudden, you want to clean my house? I'll pay you to clean my house.
Sure.
So I don't have any friggin' time.
I gladly would.
No, but like something like that, you know what I mean? Where it's like once every 2 weeks,
I know.
Go in and like.
And where you can kind of like make your own little schedule, because I mean, for me, I think I mentioned on here too, like I have family in Ireland and we're going over in June, and that'll be for like 2 weeks. And it's like, okay, well, if I got an extra job, then okay, I have to take this time off. You know, already, it's just, I don't know. So I have to do a little bit more thinking on that and searching. But then other things, then you look online for like side jobs. Some of them you're just like, are these even legitimate?
I know.
Like this just seems too good to be true. And it just doesn't feel like I'm going to get an actual decent amount of money out of it.
I know, to like spend your time doing it. Even if it is just 4 hours, 5 hours on a Saturday or something. It's like, well, if I'm not really getting paid that much, then it's not
why do I want to do that?
I know.
Oh, well, whatever.
No, I mean,
this is a tale as old as time.
And I did cut back my hours at work, so I definitely don't want any more hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know. It's just okay, I feel like we have to talk about Zendaya, because it is just day after day, look after look.
I know.
I can't even deal with it. Like, it is just, she is the queen of styling herself for the movie she's in.
I know. It's awesome. And it's like just fun.
I think it is too.
It's like, why not dress up kind of like in theme for the movie?
Yeah.
And like even that one, like when she was doing the Spider-Man, that spider web dress.
I liked that.
I know, it was so cool and so fun. And it's like, why not? It's like you have to wear the same stuff all the time.
I didn't love the Dune one where it was like, who was it? Vintage Mugler or something, where it was like a little metal suit that she was in.
It was extreme.
It was.
But it was, I don't know. I kind of thought it was fun, but it was extreme.
Cool, but it was definitely just like, okay, come on now. Like that was the grand finale. You're like, it was how much could we go? Yeah. But I'm just loving the tennis looks right now for challengers, and I'm just, because we're just into that vibe. But it's just, the outfits are so cute.
They are cute, and they're so cute. And I know it's not summery yet, but they are like kind of springy too. Yeah. Like just putting you in the mood with like the whites and the.
I saw, and I agree, when Amanda Hirsch, she said the other day, she's like, I don't understand like what's going on, but it seemed like back in a few years ago, it used to just be maybe one international premiere and then an LA and New York premiere. And now, I mean, how many premieres has Zendaya really been on? It's like freaking 12. Like,
I know.
Every city, every country.
Every movie.
Yes.
That's freaking coming out.
I mean, that's got to be exhausting.
Oh, she is working.
I know. And she's...
Her and Sydney Sweeney are
serving.
Literally.
Yeah.
Did you see... I think I liked it. It was a TikTok because we played tennis in high school.
Oh, is it that one?
That was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I forgot about.
Did everybody have the same experience?
With the passive aggressiveness.
Except ours was M or W.
Oh, yeah.
Spin it.
I completely forgot about doing that. Like that totally disappeared from my brain.
Remember the one time when we were on our own home court, and I can't remember what team we were playing. That doesn't matter. But they thought we were lying about the calls. And they're like, we want a line judge. And like one of our coaches had to come out and be the line judge.
I do vaguely not. I wouldn't have remembered that if you hadn't brought it up. I know they were like,
they were mad.
I know.
And we were not. I mean, I never called something.
I know. I felt like we were pretty honest.
Yeah. Like I'm sure that there were some that were actually like in when we called them out, just because to the naked eye you can't see.
Right. And you get
the
like
minute.
I know. And you get 1 second to look at it when it's like, well, I think it.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to go off of your gut. But like, I never once like called something out when it was actually blatantly in. Like, I never did that.
No. Yeah, there's definitely some like.
If anything, there were probably things that were out that I said that were in. Yeah. But they were so mad at us, and they're like, we want line judges. And we're like, okay, whatever. I think we won that match. And it was like
they just sucked. I know. And then there would be like, I remember, I don't know what it was, but I was doing a singles and the girl was like subbing. Like the one girl wasn't there and she just wasn't that good, but not in a mean way. And then she was getting so like, not at me per se, but so frustrated with herself. Yeah. And then I'd even like kind of, go like a little easier on there just to have like fun. Yeah. It's like, we're just having fun. And then she whoosh, like just so extreme. Like there's so many.
I remember that. And then, well, this is kind of mean, but like later at practice, wouldn't we kind of like mock that too? It was like we'd exaggerate, like just hit it.
Yeah, and she'd get. And then there was that. What was that? Oh, remember when it was like the varsity team was like? Because I think this was like our sophomore. Freshman year or something, but the varsity team was like insanely good and great. And we were playing the JV team and they were literally like talking about their prom dress or homecoming dresses.
We were playing.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, I'm totally going to that store. Like just like the bare minimum effort. We're like, what? They do not give a crap. And it was funny too because they were like the JV courts and the varsity courts are in completely different spots. Yeah. So there's no coaches over by us, and they're just like, yeah, I know. I totally told them that. Like, I'm getting the purple dress.
There we are, like on our toes, ready to go.
I know, and they were just taking their sweet old time, and I was like, this is like. I don't even know. It's like they were nice.
Yeah,
it was
but they just
awkward.
Did not care. I know. I wish that we would have been like looking back. I mean, neither of us. I think I'm probably a little bit more athletically competitive than you, but I'm not like crazy competitive. Mm-hmm. But when I think back, I'm like, I wish we would have been a little more like
it was fair, but it was so lax, like with our coaches and stuff, that it was hard to like
fully
get into it. But it was, I know, it's kind of like, it would have been interesting if we had like different coaches in like a different setting.
Or like, I just feel like, this is going to be such a toot of our own horn, but I think we could have been like good. Right. I mean, I'm not saying that we would have gone on to play in college or anything like that, but
but if we would have took it like a little more seriously.
Yeah. Or just if we, like, I remember there would be some times where it's like we'd have a great like shot or like one of our play would really set the other up to get, and it's like we wouldn't even like celebrate that.
No,
like why we like, should have been like,
I know it is kind of like I just really feel like it was the atmosphere. Like it was like nobody was really like, it was almost like, hey, you're doing good, and then they just like walk away. You wouldn't get like,
or we'd get a couple little things like, but nothing.
No, and it was kind of like, it would have been fun to have actually like gotten really into it, because we did enjoy playing. It just wasn't like,
so we didn't fully have the competitive, I don't know, drive with our coaches, and it was more just like let's have fun out there.
Right.
Which is fine.
Right. Right. But I know it is interesting. Just like going back, it's like, man, we should have been like vicious out
I know.
there.
I just felt like we could have been, you know. I
well,
mean,
maybe
if we
this summer we'll get back into practicing, and then maybe we can do like a league or something once we really get into it.
We should do a tennis league.
Not till we practice a little bit.
We need at least a year.
Yeah. Let's practice this summer and then next spring, fall, summer. Then
we can do that. By then we'll be back into tennis shape.
Yes.
Our like muscles will be used to hitting.
That's what I was literally thinking. I'm like, we're gonna be so sore once we hit again. Because I don't use my arms
that
like that.
muscle memory. I know. Even like serving. That was one thing. That's the thing that. Not to go on this huge tennis tangent for everybody who doesn't care.
Our coaches.
Yeah, but like serving was the one thing that I don't feel like we had great instruction on.
No, I feel like my serves were just in. Like they weren't good. They were just
there wasn't a lot of power behind them. And if there was one that had some power behind it, it was just a one-off.
Such a rare thing. Or like you'd be lucky and it hit the net and still go over. And
or I remember like at one point I started just honestly like hitting it incorrectly kind of, but it would put some spin on the ball. And the first couple times I did it, I didn't even realize what I was doing. But then it would like, hit and spin in the opposite direction.
Right.
And so that was really like great for a serve, but I couldn't consistently do it.
Right.
Or if I would put spin on it, like sometimes it would be out and not in, and then it's like, well, that was a waste then. And then my second serve is literally a dink. Like
I know, because it was like everything was on the line.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be the weakest serve. I know. Yeah, it's like we would kind of practice serves, but it just wasn't a priority.
And even if we did, it wasn't okay, this is what you can do to get better,
Right.
And granted, we started, well, you played. How long did you play before? Just like
I did
7,
like 8? The summer
programs.
leagues.
Yeah.
I think just maybe 6th, 7th, and 8th, but maybe just 7th and 8th. I can't remember.
Yeah. So you started before me, and then I started freshman year, but even still, that's only a handful of years where we played tennis. It's not like I would anticipate us to be unbelievable, but I think we could have been better than what we were.
No, I think so too. I think maybe even the whole team could have been better. Like
we definitely had more of a competitive edge with our previous coaches, I think. I mean, and that's not really saying much.
Right. And even some of the older, like the senior girls, because that one senior girl was so good.
She literally
she went to like state or something.
Like she would get so mad, and somehow we built a connection with her, and she hated everyone else on the team except for us.
She'd literally take us to tennis practice, and we'd sit in her house.
And then we're like, well, she's nice to us. Like, we like her.
And like everyone else hated her too.
I know. And she would hit her. She'd get mad and she'd hit her racket against her shin. And so she'd have like bruises all up. And then the one time she'd break her racket. Yes.
Like, did I like that one TikTok too where the guy was...
Wait, the professional?
Yeah. He had another one and wasn't.
And the commentators like,
how many? Yeah. They're like 1, 2, 3 on this. And then he literally, I think it was 3 rackets. He pulled another one out. Breaks it. Pulls on the other one. Like that's the level of competitiveness. We should have that.
I know. We only had 1 racket in our bag.
We had to be careful with that thing. Even when we did the spin, it was like, don't break it.
And we had freaking huge tennis bags. Why didn't we have a backup racket? Like, that was so silly. And I remember when we would get our rackets, it's like, well, I want the pink one. Like, it wasn't about the best racket.
Just like go to Walmart, like
it's like the child size, but it's pink.
It was literally
like my racket.
Now I feel like I want to get a new racket.
I think we should. It's been too long anyway. We'd probably hit a ball and the strings would burst. Mm-hmm. But my racket, I remember, was a like breast cancer awareness racket because I wanted it to be pink. Like that's how I made a choice.
Remember the uniforms and stuff?
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
In our like freshmen,
I still have my uniforms.
Dude, I think I ended up getting rid of them, but the one was so revealing.
Yeah, the one was really tight.
And then we'd roll them up anyway.
I know.
Like, that's what we were. Why? Remember, just like, we'd be like, trying, because didn't you have to kind of match when you did doubles too, like your warm-up gear and stuff? Yeah. And that was always like a thing, and you had to have the shirts. And remember our shirts? I think I just recently, did we already talk about that?
Even when we lose, we still make love. Yeah.
We weren't allowed to wear them to school.
We got away with it the first day, and then they're like, no, you can't wear those again.
It's so funny.
We spelled love L-U-V.
I know, so it wasn't.
It was tennis related.
But
yeah, I know. Good time. Our uniforms were like cute, though.
Yeah, I didn't think they were bad. Even the second round, like the skirt was more pleated.
Mm-hmm, a little more flouncy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I know, like me feeling like I weighed 5,000 pounds in that spandex.
Like, we were probably literally wearing extra small.
I know, I'd probably put it on now and cry. Like
I can't even get it on my arm.
If it's like my thigh,
literally.
One thigh.
I know
I know. I still have. I think I have both of them. They were fine. They were good, and then we'd have to. Oh my God, remember just like every time you'd have a tennis match, you have to bring your huge tennis bag and shove it in your locker and your book bag and your lunchbox. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, you'd get on the bus. Oh, all the gear.
I know, and then the extra tennis shoes.
We'd all go in the bathroom and change because, like, we didn't have real locker room.
No, and that's the other thing I was going to say. Our school didn't care about the tennis team either. So it was like, no one was coming to watch.
No, nobody came. I mean,
the only thing you would kind of get is the boy tennis players would come.
Yeah, watch. I mean, I remember like a handful of times where some of our friends that weren't on the tennis team or that were boys came to a match.
I know, because they were playing football during that time.
Whatever.
Jerks.
Doesn't matter.
And we literally had them during the week.
Yeah, they were during the week.
So remember doing the tournaments and like just all day, which it probably wasn't even all day, but it felt like it.
We'd bring a million snacks.
So, and you just sit around and wait for blankets. So long.
Yeah. Remember the one? Now we're really just going on a tangent. But
what was the time? I feel like we never really got to talk about
it. We when we did this is our one tournament at the end of the season, and we made it like the furthest of anybody else, and our entire team hated us and nobody watched us except for one teammate's mom.
They were like mad. What was even the problem? I know, and it was like I felt like it too. It was like, are we keeping going? Like, when's it gonna end?
Do they want us to lose?
Right.
But that's where it's like, why didn't we have that competitive edge? Like, we should have been like, we're gonna win this. We're gonna, and like we
especially
just didn't.
If you're going far,
or even like leading up to tournaments. Like, I don't even remember us being like, all right, we really got to amp it up.
I feel
like
it was literally like, oh yeah, we have a tournament this weekend.
Oh wait. Yeah, tomorrow.
I know, make sure you're there. Yeah, it's like, what? It's important. It's in undisclosed 25-minute place.
I'm leaving it in. I'm not even going to edit it. Whatever. Yeah.
I remember playing on like the clay courts.
Yeah,
and
like
slipping and sliding all over the place.
Our shoes getting...
And then you'd get like mad because it's like, we don't practice on
I know, and
these.
It was well, don't even talk about what we did practice on. The worst courts on the face of the earth.
The cracks. And then you couldn't use some of them because they would get goopy and you'd slip and break your ankle.
Or when you would like play and it would hit the crack and then bounce another direction and then you'd lose the point. That was embarrassing.
It was. We just looked so janky. And then like the public school had the nicest
courts in the world.
Baloney.
We should, if we share a football field, why couldn't we share the tennis courts? For God's sake.
It's like make the public school can do Tuesday, Thursday, and then we'll do Monday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Friday.
Or even if, like, we could have practiced on the crappy courts, I guess, but play on the good ones.
I know.
It was humiliating.
It was.
And it's even worse now, probably.
No, didn't they redo them over there and they did, like, pickleball?
Oh, did they? I haven't been over there in a little bit.
I feel like they did. Or maybe they just put some of it as
They
pickleball.
Probably just covered it over. They didn't even repair anything. No. Well, sorry if you're not tennis fans. We just went on.
School sports, man, are like such a different
Nothing like the glory
situation.
Days. Nothing like the glory days. I actually became a member to my local YMCA yesterday because I feel like I just need to like force myself to like do some heavy cardio. And I was looking at the tennis courts and nobody uses them as tennis courts, I don't think, really. It's just because they're painted for pickleball and for soccer and for basketball and for tennis. And,
really?
Yeah, like they don't.
Because I remember, didn't they have like just a tennis court? Yeah. And you could like pull the curtain around.
Yeah, they still have the curtain, but it's just kind of, I think that they have pickleball, like, I don't know, a league or something, because the one manager was saying how they use this court for pickleball, so it must be a certain night a week people come. But
my husband was doing that last summer. I think he did it 2 summers in a row. He did like a little league with like older people on, like just would be like a Sunday morning.
I saw a TikTok where like in more, I don't know, younger areas, I guess, or metro areas, like girls were like, I'm gonna head to the pickleball courts on a Saturday, and they're meeting these like hot guys.
I believe it though. I feel like girls and guys are like super into the pickleball, and like guys are really like enjoying it for
like
some
these
reason.
Ripped like 6'3" men with their shirts off playing pickleball. Like, I'll be a spectator, that's fine. You can teach me how to play. I actually don't even know the rules of
me
pickleball.
Either. I've never played pickleball. Well, because when he was doing it the first time, I was pregnant, and then I wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
After that,
when you have an infant.
This year, I could.
Yeah. They just pop the kids in a little play area.
Like that little one is a little escape artist.
Put him on a leash.
Literally tie him up.
Yeah. He'll be right by you.
Anywho.
But yeah, I mean, I was looking at the stuff with the Y, because didn't you have your older son at swim lessons? Was that at the Y? Okay. And I don't know if, but you don't do that still, right? You guys don't still have
we
your
haven't done
membership.
it. Yeah. No, we don't have the membership.
I don't know if they're transferable. Like, can I go to any Y?
I think some of them you can do that. Like, I think you
Not that I would, but like.
I think you can't, like, I thought the one in my town and then the one in, like, the city.
You could.
You could, but I could be wrong on that. Or, like, the class. Like, you could. I don't even think. I can't remember if we did, like, a full-blown membership.
Because I think you can just be a non-member and do classes,
and you just pay more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when your younger one is older, like, that's not a bad thing to have because it's fun for the kids. And they have little kid stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard when the one is, And
sometimes though, like YMCAs are kind of sticklers. It's like,
I know.
Nope. I don't care if.
Well, I debated about getting a Y membership because I don't know. Ours isn't the best one. Like, it really needs to be redone. But I feel like actually, the one that we went to with your older son, that was a nice Y.
That's a very nice Y. They got all kinds of stuff.
That was a great Y.
And they have a whole separate gymnastics building, like when he was doing gymnastics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, the one that I'm a part of, absolutely not. I mean, it's the exact same as it was when I took my swim lessons there. But it was funny because I do like an after school program. I volunteer with it. And, I only really, before I did that, would go back to the tennis courts when we would practice indoors sometime in high school. And then when I was younger and I did swim classes, but like I never went to the Y any other time. And so I'm looking at the swimming pool, and the lady who gave me a tour was like, it probably seemed a lot bigger when you were younger. I'm like, yeah, it did. It seemed huge.
I actually took this would have been like 7 years ago. I don't know. Took an adult like workout swim class with my mom. My husband would come, and then my stepdad. And we would all do this water aerobics class. I loved it.
I've done that before too. I love the
swim class thing.
It's actually hard.
It is. And it's so relaxing to be in the pool. Yeah. I love those swim classes.
I know. I mean, now that with the membership, you have like pool access and stuff, but I'm just... and when am I going to go into the pool? And I mean, I can swim, but I don't do
laps.
Yeah, like I'm not a
stroke.
Yeah, I don't do that. So I just like a
doggy paddle.
Or I'm an underwater swimmer. So I'm not going to come in with my goggles on and
swim around.
No. But I mean, I guess too, if I ever get injured, it would be nice for some rehab. Yeah. So good to have in my back pocket. Yeah, we're getting older, so
we're gonna need that low impact.
Oh man.
I've been watching, which I snapped you about a little bit, but I just want to talk about America's Next Top Model for a minute. And we were kind of talking about it. I really do feel like I'm changing. It's like I feel like a lot of people have been really hard on America's Next Top Model in recent years. But I gotta say it like I'm just on the second season. And I just remember, do you remember watching it on Oxygen, like in the summer, like every Saturday?
Yeah.
I remember they'd be like, it's 7:30. You're not watching it anymore. I'm like, but I'm about to watch the finale. Like it'd just be like all day long. Just sitting on the couch.
Yeah,
and it
rotting.
Literally. And it was like binge watching before we even had binge
that
watching.
Was a term, I know.
And like obviously everybody I feel like loved it back then, but then in hindsight you're like there's a lot of problematic stuff.
I know,
but I gotta say the first season and the second season did a really good job talking about body image and like the eating disorder stereotype, and a couple times they accused, like each season had someone they accused of having like an eating disorder.
Which probably wasn't the best way to call that out.
But there was definitely cattiness. But when they would actually have conversations about it, it was really productive, I thought, in like racial identity. They did a really good job. Like it was almost ahead of its time with that. Like there was like in season 2 with April, who was half Japanese and half white. And she's like, I've never really had to identify as Asian before. And it was just such a really good conversation where they were like, well, you look Asian and you're gonna be Asian,
right?
Presenting to all these people. And and she's like, whoa, I've like never had to actually really identify like that. But I don't know, it was just like going so much differently.
Well, it just felt like as the seasons went on,
I got a little too fleet. Like
I felt like with the original few seasons, the way that like Janice Dickinson was kind of catty, and Tyra would be a little like pretentious, but it was it felt still natural. Like it didn't feel.
I know, and that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, this I felt like was a pretty accurate depiction of what the industry is like and the way you were talked to. And they were even like, they could be harsh sometimes, but oh my gosh, it must have been 10 times harsher, like in the actual.
Actually, yeah. And I mean, I remember even, now we talk about so much with like the plus size models and stuff like that. But you have to remember, this was like early mid 2000s when this show was like in its peak. And at that time, it literally was, you have to be like a 00 or nothing.
I know. Like, and you had to be tall.
Yeah. So when they said like, you need to lose 5 pounds, I mean, it was not like they were being critical of you as it's literally like, if you want to get booked, this is what you're gonna have to do. And they're
like, and especially the ones that were like borderline between right in that middle spot, they're like, you're either gonna have to like
gain some weight,
and when they were doing the thing where, because some of the girls were like, wow, we had to get on the scale and they measured us, and like, I never had that done where everybody can see it and stuff, but it's like they're doing that at the castings, like just saying what your height and your weight is.
Yeah, they put you on a scale right there. I mean, and I know it seems so like when the younger generation like watches it now, it's like they can't even fathom it. They literally like stroke out watching it because they can't even believe.
Talk to these people like this?
But it's just, that was the way things were.
I know, and it was.
And a plus size model was like a size 6.
Literally. I know. Even when I was like, you're the plus size girl, I'm like, this is crazy. But it's like, it just was that way. And I mean, it's probably, I think it's gotten a lot more diverse in body types now, but I mean, that's super recent.
Yeah, I mean, that was just the reality. But what I was trying to get at is like, I think originally it started out as very genuine and like, we're the voice of the industry right now. And then once a few seasons got in, they're like, oh, people kind of like when we're a little more intense, controversial and intense,
and get
so
these
they
more
leaned in,
and like getting more, casting a little bit more of these like intense personalities,
or like the photo shoots get insane.
I know, it's like we're running out of ideas. We have to make, because I know, well, even in the second season, they were like hanging these girls from like a freaking 30-story building. I'm like, I just don't feel like they would ever really do that. Like, this is all.
I know.
Or like, obviously in the newer season when they're scaling the wall on a ride, it's like, you just woun't have to do that.
No.
Like, this is all super reality. But even when they were like bringing in the girls and stuff, it just felt really like, I don't know, just kind of like a natural. Yeah. And like, even when they were going on the go-sees and
those
stuff.
Those are my favorite.
I know. And I loved hearing what their feedback was.
I know,
like,
me too.
Or like, we love this about her, but no, we wouldn't hire somebody that looked like her. And it was just so
and somebody would always get lost and they would miss their appointments.
You're like, well, I know. And then again, it was like, sometimes you were going to be thrown into these random countries and just like.
That's the way it was.
Yeah. It's like, you don't speak the language, but you still got to get to where you need to get to. And like,
and you
even
didn't
the
have Ubers and stuff.
Right. They usually gave them, not always, but some kind of transportation, but they still had to figure it out on their own. It was like, so entertaining. And then when they do the countdown, it's like 30 minutes left. Go sees 3 out of 5.
You're like, oh my God, she's not going to make it. And then there'd be like the one that would make it to the last one at the when there's 1 minute left and they'd be running in the door.
Or if the door would be locked, they'd be like,
yeah. Oh my God.
But even the some of the later seasons though too, just a couple of them, the photo shoots were so cool. Like that whole petite season, those photo shoots were incredible.
See, I don't think I watched that one.
That one was good. Just the photo shoots were awesome, even though it was kind of interesting that they did like a whole petite model thing.
Like, we know this isn't going to be successful.
You know, did you watch the season with Molly and Brittany?
Yeah.
they had amazing photo shoots on that one too. And that I don't want to say crazy Alexandria, but where she had that really intense personality. But
she was one of many.
Yes, but she I just remember her from that season.
Yeah.
But those photo shoots were awesome. Like some of the seasons were still good in the later, but some of them were not good at all.
I know. Some of them just got to be too outlandish.
Yeah, and like when they incorporated the social media thing, which didn't really make any sense because I think there was one that was just girls and then the guy and girls season.
I watched that one because that was when what was his name, Niall?
Yeah.
And I was in college at the time, and my one like friend, he like was in love with him, and so we would watch it.
He was a good looking
he was
man.
very handsome,
and he was so sweet. And
but he ended up doing having a good career. That was when we had talked about it earlier in the week, and then I looked back at all the winners and saw like where are they now. I just feel like, same with Project Runway and stuff like that. It's like there are a couple that break through and are the shining stars. I mean, obviously Project Runway, Christian Siriano is like the biggest designer to ever come out of that show. And there are some others that have like decent success, but nothing like him. And same with America's Next Top Model. I just felt like if you were on that show and you won, it was like, good for you, but we have real models out here.
And it seemed like the side people did better. Or like the people who didn't quite win had pretty good careers because they didn't have that winner.
It was just like, I don't know. It felt like definitely as seasons went on.
Yeah,
it just wasn't taken as seriously.
It was felt more like reality show. And like they're doing like silly commercials where before they would literally do their cover girl
because
commercial, and that's what was gonna air.
Yes, like remember those first seasons where like the package that you won as a winner was unbelievable.
It was.
Like
you got
the contract, you got
the cover girl
contract. Yeah, like you got money for. I mean, you were signed with a elite agency. You got all this stuff. I mean, it was big. And then when I was looking at some of the later ones, I'm like, well, who's that agency?
I know, because it was like nobody wanted to work with it anymore. But it was crazy too, because even the girls like auditioning for the shows like in these early seasons were all so beautiful and so good. And it was like they looked like models.
Yeah. I know.
But I know. I feel like in the later seasons, though, they I don't want to say they stopped looking like models, but they
our idea of a traditional model.
Where like some of these girls, like even in this first, I'm like, wow, they look really good. And the makeovers in the earlier seasons were like more genuine, where later it was like, why are we putting fake facial hair on this poor man? Like it's insane.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it's like just give them just fix up what they have.
The hair, yeah. The one girl that I told you about, I can't even remember what her name was. Was it
Naima? Because I've seen her pop up on TikTok.
No, it was I've looked up her name because I knew Naima, but this girl was from like the second to last season, I think, and she, like she was younger when she was on the show, and then a few years have passed, like she's gained some weight. She looks healthy still.
Right.
But when I saw her there, I'm like, did you win America's Next Top Model like this? Because you look like an average person. Like it was shocking to me. And then when I looked back, I'm like, oh no, she did, just everything about her had changed. Not for worse. It was just not what my millennial brain was used to. But she said that she got like $100,000, and then she said, okay, I'll give myself a year in New York. She spent $60,000 of it on like paying for a year's rent for an apartment, and then after 6 months, she just like gave up because she wasn't getting jobs. And I just felt like that was crazy. Like,
I know, or like, why wouldn't you even try like another country? I know that's like daring, but it's like,
or even
give it
like
a little more time.
If you you paid a year on that.
Yeah,
at least
stay.
What about getting another job? I mean, maybe she just hated New York and like didn't admit that in this TikTok that I saw or whatever, but I was just shocked by it. And that's what I was trying to like say when I sent you the snaps. Like the earlier girls I felt that were more in our age range, kind of like they had that, like, I want to be a model so bad. I will literally do anything. I know.
And you could see it. Like, I can see it in this season. They're like, you know, and even some of them that were like, you know, everyone just said I should be a model because I'm really tall. And then they're really getting into it. They're like, no, like I'm good at this. And like kept going with it.
Right. And it just felt like I did not see any of that season at all. So I can't speak on that. But just the way she was talking about it, it's like, yeah, like it didn't fall in my lap. So
I don't want to have to work for it.
Yeah. And then she's like, well, then I ended up renting out my apartment. I made money. Okay, well, good for you. But like, you like abandoned your dream,
right? Like, and then it's like you especially in the, not to keep going on about the earlier seasons, but they're really working with good photographers.
Yes,
they are getting a portfolio.
I know.
I don't know if they did as much with that in the later seasons, but I mean, they were setting these girls up
for success. I mean, really, they were. Yeah, they walked out of there with a portfolio of amazing photos.
Working with these incredible, and with stylists and hair and makeup people. It was
remember when they'd have like the competitions where they'd just have to do their own, they'd have like a certain amount of time to style themselves, to do their own makeup.
And it's like, this is what you need. Like, in the way they would like take them out of their comfort zone, but still be realistic about it. It's like, this is what you might have to deal with. You might have to be in a super competitive situation where you have to hurry up and get your makeup done. Or, you know, or like they do the like runway training. And yeah, it was just like
Mr. and Miss J.
I loved when he Miss J would make fun of their walks. He's like, don't do it like this. Like, he was so
His
good
eyes.
at like intimidating them.
He was so good. His walk was so good.
I know. And he was just so funny, and just that whole crew. And it was like they would really like get into the girls too.
I know.
They're like,
would.
I want you to do good.
I know.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, I wonder when it like really falls off. But then they'd have like a good season later, and then we'd kind of like the college season wasn't good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a good one.
It's like you can't just, I don't know. But anyway, I was just enjoying it.
It started, and I just think it's unfair now that we go back. And
I know, and like
it's like, okay, you're criticizing. This is just the way that it was. Like, I'm sorry.
I know, I am getting kind of like over, and I get like maybe like, I don't know, but it is just kind of like, take it for what it is sometimes. It's like, you just have to, if you're watching it, take it for what it is. It might be shocking, but sometimes I'm like, you get in your head too, and you're like offended. I'm like, why am I so offended? It's like, I had no problem watching this for years and years and years. I know, I'm loving it. Like
everything Janice said, I was like falling over every word. Like, she is the Bible.
I know. It's just like, stop going back. And obviously, like, some of the race changing that we did a few times was just a little out of pocket, you know.
I mean, it definitely was bizarre, but it was kind of interesting at the same time.
That one like got milk commercial they did, where it's like, you have to and again, like, you would just never ever have to do this. But it was interesting. It's like, well, you have to be regal, like, you know, this race.
But you're right. Like,
it.
Not only we wouldn't do that today, but even in a real photo shoot,
like, you're never going to do that. They're not going to be like, to do that. They're going to take a white woman and be like, you are going to be Jamaican.
Yeah, like that would you just never happen. But it was.
You would hire a Jamaican model.
It was fascinating. It was. How, I mean, that truly is the power of hair and makeup.
I know the way they did transform. There was another later season where they kind of like blended two cultures, and you had to like embody both of them. That was in the petite season, which again, it's like, you would never be doing that,
especially as a petite.
Yeah, it's like, you just wouldn't be doing
You're
this.
gonna be doing catalog work.
Like, Right? Like, you're not going to be doing these insane. But it was still interesting, though. It really was. And even in that Got Milk commercial where they changed the race, they also had to have a kid.
Child. I was going to say, wasn't that the one with the kid?
Yeah. And I mean, that was cool, too. They're like, you might have to work with a child.
Which is so true. An animal, another man. Like, yeah. I loved the ones. I think we said this when we talked about ANTM before, but when they would have to like kiss a guy or something, and then Tyra would like criticize their chemistry.
That was great. You'd be watching the commercials like, and you're like cringing. Or they would do the acting classes too. Like this one season.
They would do those.
They would do it. I mean, they really set these girls
improv and everything.
And remember when they would do the like the mini challenges too, but in the judging panel where it's like, style this black dress in 3 minutes. It's like they took that away.
I just felt like the reason why they did those things was, you know, I know they're making a show, but also like Tyra and Janice and Nigel, like they fully were in the industry, and it's like they know the things that could arise and things that they've had to do, and like they took from their own experience and created some of these challenges and photo shoots.
And like, and even some of it was like, you really tried, you know, or they wouldn't be like, no, why do you have that belt on? Like you're cutting off your torso. Like take it off.
You need to learn what's going to look good on your body.
Yes. And it's like, it was good. I'm going to say it.
How can we forget when Tyra came in and fainted and everybody freaked out? And then she's like, acting. I was acting.
They were like
people were like crying.
I know, they're like, Tyra. I probably would have too, freaking Tyra Banks. And like, obviously she was like,
she was so
got worse and worse.
Yeah, she did.
Like the over the topness. But she was a good model. I mean,
know,
she had
really
every
was.
right to like.
She had every right to, in my mind, had every right to criticize or pass judgment or give critique, because I mean, she was the top of the game.
And I had forgotten too that when they would do like the whatever themed photo shoot, that Tyra always had a picture too, and it would show it in the beginning. She also did it.
Yeah, no, I did it before all you ladies got there.
I know.
And then they'd all be like,
oh wow. I know, and they'd be like, wow, looking over at that teeny tiny little screen they had in the beginning.
Did they, even at later seasons, did they still have like Tyra holding the pictures?
Yes. Yeah, I think they did. Actually, I don't know if I feel
that was the best.
I know. I only have one photo in my hand. The girl I do not call.
We'll pack her bags and go home.
And will not be going to Italy. Like the best freaking trip ever. Like,
Hannah. And then,
I was literally like, And some of the freaking, when they would go home was so
I know.
sad.
And they'd have to pack their little bag.
I know. Or like the girl.
And the place was such a mess.
I know. And they would like, I loved the like side drama of like, you used my tomatoes. Oh my god. Or like, they're like, these girls don't clean. Or when they make them stay, remember like I think it was Eva's season where they went to Japan and they had to stay in those teeny tiny little slot beds. And then they made them take like the tea class.
Oh yeah.
But then it also prepared them for the shoot. It was gonna be like, you have to have that elegance. Or when they have
to balance.
Yes. I mean, they did some cool. And like, how cool is that you get to go to a whole new country?
I know.
Because they always made them experience the culture.
Yeah, I know. And they would be, I mean, they weren't like, most of the time they weren't real shows, but like they would have a full audience. They'd have like, it was like a real fashion show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was, if we could bring like that good parts of the earlier seasons and have it like again or something.
I don't know if we could do it today. I feel like modeling is just diverse, different too. Right? You know, it's not as cutthroat. People can't hang.
No.
I don't know. As if we could have been on America's Next Top Model.
I know, and then you'd be like 12 years old critiquing them.
Like I would work on my model walk.
I know. I came out of the after I'd been watching it. I was freaking walking the runway down the hallway. And I remember doing that. And because we had this one hallway, and then at the end it had a mirror, and I was freaking strutting, like spinning.
What would Tyra do? Smile with your eyes.
Oh my gosh. And she'd come up with all those crazy
I know things to say.
The tooch and the gooch and the booch.
Remember when she's like, some girls, they want bigger lips. So I would just, what did she do? I'd stick
rolled something
like toilet paper or paper towel or something and just stuck it up there. And you can't even tell. Like Tyra, who already has like beautiful lips.
Feature. I know. And her whole body is perfect. But yeah, she would give like tips. She'd be like, this would be Jana's. If you're sporting a gut, turn to the side and suck it in. It happens.
But Janice Dickinson too. I mean, I know she was eccentric, but like she was in a time where modeling was wild. I mean, and she was just so good. And
I know.
I would love when her TikToks pop up sometimes where she's critiquing other ones. And I think she's a little too soft on some. I'm like, Janice,
I know.
I want your real opinion.
It's that time we're living in. We can't even have an honest Janice Dickinson.
Out of all people.
But anyway.
Well, if you don't like tennis or America's Next Top Model, then you probably hate the beginning part of our podcast today. But these are things that we enjoy talking about. And if the 12 of you that listen can't get on board with that, then
whatever.
It's fine. This is about it. We do this because we like it. Okay. That's why. Do you have any other hot topics? No. All right. Well,
there wasn't really anything going on.
No, I don't have anything going on either. Mm-hmm. After the eclipse, that's pretty much the biggest thing. It took over
everyone's life. Yeah, because everyone was like, I'm off, or I'm getting off early.
I know. So now I don't have anything to look forward to, or...
It's going to be nice next week.
It's raining now.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice, but my office doesn't have any windows. So I'm literally... Well, you don't either. You're in a lab.
No.
So both of us are sequestered into a dungeon.
Literally.
Can't even get outside and go for a little walk. I mean, I guess I could, but people would probably think I was weird.
My mom does that on her at work. She'll like take a walk on the lunch break. I'm like, this couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
No.
That's what I was thinking. Like when I lived in bigger cities, I mean, walking was the norm. Like I would walk everywhere. Like when I lived in San Francisco, obviously this was also part of my depression, but I would just walk. Like I didn't want to be alone and with my thoughts in my apartment. So I would walk for miles and miles and miles every day. But it was like fine. Or when I was in New York, it'd be like, oh, I'm going to go downtown. I'll just walk. It's like 50 blocks. No big deal. It was like walking is the norm. And then around where we live, if you are walking, it's like, do you need money?
No. Are you going to get hit by a car?
Yeah, it's like that's the lowest of the low to be having to use your own feet as transportation. Like people around us don't do that. We're such a driving, I think, state, honestly.
No, I feel like the Midwest or like suburban culture is
driving or nothing. Mm-hmm. Like we don't even have public transit. Mm-mm. Like that's ridiculous.
I know.
I loved the subway and the bus. Like it was.
I know, and like honestly, like I don't like this is a rural area. The amount of traffic is insane. I'm like, this is crazy, and like if I could just have someone drive me around.
Right?
So I don't have to freaking
even
have the stress.
If you had to just like get on a bus, if the bus stopped, here and you could just get on it, like
take it to work.
Yeah, I would do that.
I know, because it's so high stress and then like getting on the highway and there's just semis everywhere.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, since I'm in control of my own transportation, I definitely leave it to the last second to leave and get to work. But when I wasn't in control, I would leave with plenty of time because you don't know if the train's going to get shut down for a little bit, if you're not going to be able to get on this bus because it's too full. Like, you had to give yourself extra time. So I would never be late for work unless something like catastrophic happened. Right. But now I'm just like, who cares? I'm 5 minutes late. I'm driving myself, like, whatever.
I know. I'm like leaving at 8:55. Yeah. And it takes 12 minutes to get to work.
Right. Like, I literally am like, I can make it in 22 minutes.
Literally
leave 22 minutes before.
If you clock in before 08, then you're not late. Yeah. So. Or 9:07.
I'm like, I justify it as, listen, I stay later than my contracted time every day, so it evens out. It's fine.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do? Fire me? Please go ahead late. And do. Yeah.
It's like, I planned my whole day, so
I know. Like, nobody's waiting for me. No. Like, I do my own work. I'm fine. All right. Well, let's take a little break.
All right.
And we're back. I felt like this episode of Vanderpump was a little lackluster, and I made a TikTok about it after I watched the episode of just how, like, I am just getting very frustrated and feeling kind of nervous about where we go as a cast from here. And we kind of talked about it before, but just like
many times.
Yeah.
Like, just none of it.
It's just like, even in this episode where we have, Sheena and Lala comforting Ariana when she's literally crying about the house situation. And then we go to the sperm bank with Lala and Sheena, and they're like talking behind her back and kind of bashing her. And then we know that something goes down in the reunion, and Lala has continued to make snide remarks about Ariana. It's just like, I don't know what we're doing.
Right.
It just makes me feel weird. And I've never felt this way about the cast before.
Right.
Like, there's obviously been conflicts before and people that I've been annoyed with, but this just feels like, why is everybody on the wrong side?
I know. I don't know if they're seeing something we're not. I don't know.
Well, we did get some good engagement on the TikTok, and everybody seemed to feel the same way we did.
I do see a lot of comments the opposite, though. And it's like, I don't understand
why.
Yeah, it's like, and again, you don't even have to like Ariana to still acknowledge the situation, and that you are gonna, like, it just blows my mind when Lala is like in one breath crying with Ariana and then is like, get over it. It's like, who is anyone to say that? I saw a TikTok, I wanted to bring this up, where someone was talking about Lala, and I hope I make sense of what they said, because they made sense. But she was saying that, Lala comes from two parents that were together her whole life and that were really supportive of her. And then, were supportive of her, like making this move. And like, she just really, because I even listened to Lala's book, and she doesn't really talk about traumas or anything, which is fine. And then this like Randall thing, and obviously her dad passing away was like a trauma. But this Randall thing is really the first thing that's bad that's really happened to her. And it's like, she cannot see other people's pain. It's like hers is the worst thing that's ever happened. Only her. And she has like not an ounce of empathy towards anyone.
She just pretends to.
Yeah. And then like it's like she thinks that everybody should just handle everything the way she did. And I just can't remember exactly what the TikTok was, but I just thought that was a really interesting point.
That's what annoys me the most, I think, is that first of all, if the roles were reversed and everybody was acting the way that they're acting toward Ariana regarding Tom to Lala about Randall, she would have lost her mind.
If they would have been like going to hang out with everybody's exes, like new girlfriends,
still
mistresses,
bringing him around, saying like, "Oh, get over it. Hasn't he been through enough?"
Right.
Like, she would have freaking literally like burned the freaking production down.
Right.
I mean, so it's just, and I can recognize that growth and change. That's fine and great, but like you just said, that doesn't mean that everybody is on this alleged level that you're at and can process things the way that you are. And it's
like
now.
We've watched, how many seasons? 8 seasons? I don't know. Of her not acting like that at all, being incredibly entitled.
Yes.
Being just
blowing up
miserable
all the time.
Yeah,
being so hateful towards people.
I know. And I did see that Faith, which... Okay, whatever with Faith. But she did bring Lala's name up, and that's kind of the first time we were saying that. And I think she said, did she say Lala like hit her or pushed her?
Well, she had the knife thing she said.
Yeah, it's like, I kind of believe that happened.
Yeah, like
she was like...
Lala was erratic, and you can say, or she can say that it was
the drinking,
alcohol induced, but I don't think everything was.
No, it's like she was...
And if she's at this different level now, that's great. But like, you can't just completely erase the past.
Right. And it's like, I know she's like friends still with like Stassi and stuff, but it's like, she let those, and I know they did more, but it's like, she let those two just like take this huge fall.
Yeah, right?
And she may have been like kind of involved with it. I was like, I kind of believe it.
I do
Not
too.
that she was like the big perpetrator, but I mean, if there was a knife, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it's not like Faith was like the most perfect person ever either, but it still is just, it just frustrates me how she is so easy to disregard how other people might be handling a situation if it's just one tiny bit different than how she would handle it in this moment right now. I know, and it's
always what I'm going through is much worse. What I'm going through is much worse. It's like, who are you to decide? I get there's a kid involved, but it's not for you to decide what is worse and what isn't.
Yeah. And I saw a post on Twitter, and it was the conversation between Schwartz and Lala from, was that season 9? When it was like when she confronted him about like going and playing pickleball with Randall, or was that last
10.
season?
Yeah,
it was towards the beginning though, wasn't it? I think it seems like that was forever ago. It doesn't matter exactly. It was when we were going through all that Randall stuff, and she was like, you have to pick sides, and I will not have you a part of my life, and. Schwartz is like, don't you think that's kind of extreme? Like, that's ridiculous to say. And she had texted him like, I don't want to be around weak people.
Yeah.
And he's like, what you said was really hurtful to me. And she's like, well, I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was going through like the hardest time of my life with my divorce and going through all this, and you were so blinded and you only thought of your situation. And all she said was, well, I apologize for my poor timing.
Right.
Like, really? Like, and then now with the Tom and Ariana stuff, it's like, I know that the custody thing with Ocean is very painful.
Right.
But it's like, that stuff with Randall, like, I'm sorry. We saw the writing on the wall.
I know. Well, I was just, during the episode, I was like, thinking out loud, I guess, but my husband was in the room, so. But I was like, you sat there and bragged about getting PJs for BJs.
Yes.
And you were saying like he gifted you this and that after you guys hooked up the first time. And you're like talking about, and obviously like some relationships start out more casual. And then it's like, what? And I don't even want to say, what did you expect to happen? Like, because whatever.
Because you shouldn't
expect
nice.
Yeah, it's not nice. But it was like, you had no problem using this guy for his money.
Right. And I'm sorry.
And his status and going out with, well, isn't that what Sheena said in season 9? Or is it season 9? She's like, well, when I had the miscarriage, but you were out with Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox.
But I mean, it was so true.
Right.
Like, she loved the lifestyle. And I don't want to be so, it's all about looks, but I think that's something that is important to Lala.
Right.
And that's why it was like annoying when she said, I think, was it on her podcast or an interview with like Jeff Lewis or something? And she was like, I didn't even care about looks when I went for this sperm donor this time. It's like, yes, you do. Like, please stop. The only reason why you were with Randall is because of his money. And I'm not denying that he did have like an emotional thing with you. But if it was solely based on anything, if he didn't have money, there's no way she would have been with him. No way.
Right. And it feels like the part she's never saying is like the ego blow. Like, because Lala is very beautiful.
That's what it was.
Right. It's like it's more beautiful than Randall, so it's like it hurt. It was a huge like.
How could he cheat on
me?
Yeah,
he's lucky that he even has me. Right. And I feel like she doesn't really like say that,
but part. That's what's alluded to,
and that's why she's upset too. And obviously, there's like, I don't know, it's so hard to talk about because there is a kid involved, and it's like I don't want to be insensitive to that or like how hard that must be, but.
It is hard. I mean, it 100% is, but that's where it's like just because Tom and Ariana didn't have human children doesn't mean that this isn't still very, very difficult. They were together way longer than Lala was with Randall.
Right. And Lala clearly didn't have an emotional attachment to the house. Right. You know, it's like the Vanderpump cast, none of them had, I think it was season 8 when they all got houses. I mean, they were in terrible, crappy apartments this whole like they worked hard to get these houses, and for Lala to be like, get out of the house. It's like, no, I get why Tom and Ariana don't want to leave. Why Brittany and Jax don't want to leave their house. Like, that is hard work to get a house.
Even if you do have money and you just are able to get that, you got that house together with the intention of this is going to be our forever home, or at least it's going to be the home that we start our forever in. And you make that house a home and you put work into it. And
some people are more emotionally attached to what is your home than other people. Like, some people can be like, yeah, let's just go and move. Like, there's no emotional attachment to it, but sometimes there really is for a lot of people.
I mean, and even for like you with your house in a previous episode, you're like, yeah, you know, we were talking about moving and there's things that you want and they're your non-negotiables, but it's like, I'm sure it still will be emotional to leave here because this was the first house that you had after you guys got married, and like your kids
like this thing we did on our own. Like, we weren't running from anything. It was like our own thing, and then our kids, and like that was their rooms.
It's like that is just a lot of things get put into a house, and if you're there, if you live somewhere for years, it's not easy to just throw that away. Like, it just isn't.
And if you have like all these people have like pools. Like,
it's just frustrating because she didn't have any financials wrapped up in it, and it was like easy in that respect for her to just pack up and go. And it's like, okay, well, good for you, but that's not what everybody else is experiencing.
I know. And it's like, and again, why are we ripping on Ariana about it and not on Tom just as much? It's like, he should be leaving. You know what I mean? It's like,
or even with the Brittany and Jax thing, it's like, okay, Brittany did move out because that's what she felt was best for her at that moment, and she was able to do that. But like, just because she moved out, like, she and Jax are still doing the podcast together, and Lala's there like, she should do what's best for her, and oh, well, if she wants to get back with him, like, she's my friend, I'll support whatever she wants. She's not saying like, well, you must not be too hurt if you're still doing a podcast with them every week.
Because you're jealous of Ariana.
Right.
That's the way it's coming across.
Because that's the way it is, I think.
It's just so bizarre that I just don't get the specifically Ariana hate. And
me either.
Needs to do everything and be responsible and mature and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's frustrating to watch. It almost makes me sad. I mean, I'm sad for Ariana, but just sad in general because I'm just like, what are we doing?
I know, it's just frustrating because you want to go and speak to her directly.
Yes, I know. I seriously, when she was doing her last couple shows, I'm like, if we got on a flight right now, we could make it.
All is delusional.
I know. Okay, well, let's get through some of the highlights of the episode. And we just talked about our frustrations with Lala, but we follow up on like the beach day and everything like that. Tom is acting like Ariana will not be able to survive without him. He's like going on again. I buy the toilet paper. I buy this. I buy that. Okay, Tom, good for you. Like, I'm tired of him also keep throwing these things even in the after show. It's like, well, I actually purchased that. Who cares? Literally nobody cares. I actually, even when Ariana was like taking inventory of like what she bought in the house, it's like, I don't care what you bought in the house. Like, just get rid of it all at this point. Like, this is just ridiculous. It's like a tit for tat thing, and it's so frustrating to watch. Okay, then we go to the bar, and Sheena is talking to Tori, her former babysitter,
the paid actor.
This is
wait a minute. They've been friends for 10 years.
So when Tori was like 14,
why was a 30-year-old woman hanging around?
That doesn't make any sense.
Was she friends with this little sister or something?
Maybe they probably cheered together or something. That's the only thing that makes sense. And I know this is so dumb to like comment on. Well, she looks like she's 12, but she truly looks so young. She's 24. She is young, but like she could definitely pass as like a 19-year-old in my opinion. But anyway, that thing is just so set up. It's just annoying. It's like, oh, Tori's here. Oh, and Katie's interested. Oh, and so is Schwartz. Like, I know. It's dumb.
I know.
It's so
And Katie
dumb.
was like fully getting the ick when they were painting.
Oh, I know.
She was like,
well, because what did she even say?
She was just
something
like
about,
way too giddy and like,
and she said some stupid comment about like, I'm so young, I don't even know.
You know,
I can't remember what it was about. Like a,
was it the? Actually, I don't remember.
It was like, I don't know, like a VHS player, you know, like one of those things that I would make that same look at somebody.
Well, was it Lala that brought it up though? That was a good point. Like, why are they both dating a 24-year-old? I was like,
it doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's so lame and it's stupid. I thought that she also looks like an edgy version of Addison Rae. Like just with her like kind of rounder face, and I could just see it a little bit. Oh, then we already kind of talked about where Lala, Ariana, and Sheena were talking about Ariana's feelings toward the house. And I thought it was sad when Lala was like, well, do you kind of feel like he just threw you away? And then Ariana starts getting emotional. It's like, of course she feels like that.
Right.
And Lala, like, you probably felt like that too. So for you to be this insensitive is just
That's what was confusing
mind-blowing.
with her crying with Ariana and like fully getting on the same page and then turning around. And being like, I don't get it.
I know. I don't either. Lala, we're kind of just skipping ahead, but we don't need to like go in depth on all this stuff. But then Lala hangs out with Joe to get hot dogs. And I literally put like question marks and exclamation points. Like, what is happening? This is so just like, we want to bring Joe into the mix. So let's force this.
And she's at the reunion too.
What? In what universe would Joe be hanging out with Lala organically?
I don't know.
Especially going to a hot dog stand.
None of it made sense.
That was just so silly. I will say, and then Joe's like, I didn't know that Sandoval and Rachel were together.
That was such a lie.
Yes,
and then if you're like, then she said, I thought Ariana and Tom were broken up. So then you did think that
they were together.
Right. Yeah. Like Rachel and were like clearly in a dating situation.
Right. And I'm sorry,
such
but
a lie.
Like if you're as close to Schwartz as you say that you are, there's no way you don't know the status of Tom Sandoval's relationship.
Just bringing that up, that Schwartz was just like double dating with them is so
disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so gross. I know. I hate to even think about that. It's just so dirty. They go to Topgolf, James and the girls. And have you ever done Topgolf?
I did it one time.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
I'd like to do it.
I know. Yeah, it was fun. It was
especially
fine.
If you were like getting some snacks and some drinks. Like
the day I went, it was like literally 98 degrees.
Oh my God,
it was
no.
like, and I had my literally, I don't even know if he was one yet with me.
So maybe
it wasn't the best.
Maybe you need to go a different time.
But it wasn't my choice. But
anyway. I've never. But
I think it would be fun though. Yeah. It was fun still, and it would be fun.
Probably more fun.
Yeah.
When it was cooler and you didn't have an infant.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have never been to one. Like I thought it was cool. I also, maybe this is like stupid of me, but I didn't realize that you were actually like hitting the balls out into
the abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like literally up high too. It's like and there's just like a ledge and like a net where I did it or whatever. I'm like, this feels dangerous.
Yeah. Like I don't know.
But it's fun that you don't have to actually like chase the balls or anything. You just can like wee.
Yeah, I know. I thought it looked kind of fun. This was kind of a cute little like outing with James. I think James is looking amazing right now. I mean, not drinking and hitting the gym is definitely working
and he doesn't
for
look
him.
Like that partying grime on him.
No, and like too lanky. Like he looks sturdier than and just healthier than he ever did before. He just didn't look well sometimes. And then he says with the like Tory thing, he calls it out. He's like, this is not normal for...
Oh, maybe he was the one that said the 24-year-old thing.
Oh, yeah, it might have been. But it's like, no, it's not normal. Thank you for calling this out.
I know,
and
it's
if
weird.
This is a thing that is put upon by production or that they're self-producing, and if this is his like genuine reaction to it, or if it's even a produced reaction, it's like, I'm glad somebody is saying it because it's how we all feel. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's silly. Like, in what universe are a divorced couple dating the same 24-year-old when they're 40?
No.
It's so silly. And then
it's very California.
To be like, well, I know that Katie went out on a date with her yesterday and I'm going out on a date with her tonight. Like, what kind of sitcom, like late night sitcom is this? Okay, then Lala and Sheena go to the sperm bank like we talked about, and they basically just like bash Ariana. I thought it was interesting though when Lala was talking about her family structure kind of. She's like, I always, I grew up with a mom and a dad in the same house and that's what I pictured for myself. But then I'm like, did you genuinely think that was going to be you and Randall?
Well, and also, like, why are you thinking that it's not ever going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get this, like, giving up on yourself.
Me either. So now you're doing the complete opposite of that.
I know. You're, like completely shutting that away.
Yeah, I think that's a little odd. Do you have any ideas of what her baby name's going to be?
No.
You saw it was a girl.
Mm-hmm. And it starts with an S.
I know. I thought, like, Storm, but then I'm like, I don't know if she will, because Stormy is close to Kylie.
I don't know. I thought maybe Snow.
Or
like, I don't know.
I think it's gonna be something weird.
I know.
Like somebody said, like, Sequoia, because she was hugging those trees.
That could be the freaking name. I know. I'm like, well, at least she didn't get a boy, because she's a man hater.
Literally. When I first saw the video, I thought there was, like, some blue on the knife, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a boy.
She's gonna hate it.
I know. She'll be like, put it back. Put it back. We'll have to think about some names.
I literally have no idea what it could be.
Like, if anybody has any thoughts, I'd love to hear. Put them in some comments for us. If you think it's going to be Stacy, what if it's something so normal? Like Susan, Stacy, Stephanie. The more I've seen her now, the more I'm like, you are a Lauren.
I know. Lauren from Utah. Yeah. She kept saying that in her book. Lauren from Utah. Lauren from Utah. Lauren. What is Lauren?
What does that mean?
I know. Like, I don't get. Like, I can't imagine being like Hannah from Ohio. Hannah from Ohio.
Like, why is that your identity?
Right.
Like the state that you're from. And if I had to guess a state where she was from, I never in a billion years would say Utah.
Right. It's like, I don't get like that is her defining. I don't know.
Is it a dig at? I feel like when people say it's it like, now, it's a dig.
I know, but it almost seemed like she was like, that's my humble personality is Lauren from Utah.
Where's that girl been?
Lala is just the
persona.
It's like, well, I think Lauren and Lala have always been
the one and the same. Yes. I don't think I've ever seen Lauren then.
No. Even though, well, the way she narrated her book, I just want to say this real quick. Her voice almost didn't sound like her, and I know it was a couple of years ago. Actually, it's probably, I don't even know when she did that book, but it was an older one. But she was like real soft and like meek, and it was just so crazy.
I'm sorry, but why did she write a book?
Because it's her brand. It was called Give Them Lala.
It's so unnecessary.
I know. It's like you, because she was still so, I mean, she's barely in her 30s now. So she was like 20 something.
Right. If she would have written this after the Randall thing, then I could see, like, please detail how harrowing that was for you.
Right.
But like, up until then, what did you have
it's
going
just
on?
Like the petty dating.
I can't think of one thing that I would have liked to have heard from a book written by her.
There wasn't a lot. I mean, it's been a while since I listened, but
it wasn't anything. Away. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Okay, so then Joe goes ahead and dyes Schwartz's hair blonde. It like made me laugh because while she was dyeing his hair, I'm like, this is a hate dye, because she's like, oh, you went on a date? And she's like
flicking
destroying his hair.
Literally.
Yeah, it looked.
I was surprised she did bleach on the roots first.
Yes, as a former hairstylist, I would love to know what you thought.
But then when that lady like stepped in and was like, are you going to check this? I was like, what is going on here?
Interesting you bring that up, Hannah, because I saw a TikTok today. Somebody in California did some sleuthing. Okay. Someone who is a cosmetologist. She doesn't have a license in California, apparently. And I looked up that salon that she was at, Hair Boss, and she doesn't work there. She's not on the staff.
So this was just like a fake
I think
thing?
she's friends with the owner, that girl.
Just like comes and does her friends sometimes.
And then I did a dive on her Instagram, Joe's Instagram, and it looks like most of the haircuts that she does are out of her home or somebody else's home. Or one time she was at like a VFW style hall. So it doesn't seem like she's an actual licensed stylist.
So is that just like pretend for the show then?
I don't know.
Really...
Well, people in the comments were like, when I saw that color placement, I knew this couldn't be true.
I know. I was like, am I misremembering? I want to put bleach on the roots first.
And that's no wonder.
And like all around the rim.
So horrible. Yeah. So yeah, that was exposed.
Again, why are we filming her bleaching?
Because we needed filler for this episode, and we wanted to show that Tom Schwartz is going through a midlife crisis. Why else would you bleach your hair? I'm shocked that all of his hair didn't just like fall out, honestly.
I mean, they did cut quite a bit off.
It was dead. They didn't show her like pulling it out in clumps. So after that, they go to that single mingle party thing, and it's like boys' night plus Joe. Like, this was so awkward.
It was.
And like, I don't particularly like Joe, but I do feel really bad for her regarding the Schwartz thing.
So horrible. Like when he was like making out with that girl.
And I can see it both ways, where like she wanted it, so she like read into things differently. Right. But he definitely.
But he still tells her like, we would be so happy together. We would probably have a good marriage.
I mean, he's not the kind of guy that's gonna like tell you I don't want to be with you. Like, he's gonna feed into that too. And I could totally see, I think she said like, oh, we were saying I love you. Like, I could see him saying that and being like, yeah, of course I love you.
I know. And it's like, I kind of wanted to be like, to her, I'm like, don't waste your time on him. Like, it was just
and don't do this to yourself. Like, you're making a fool out of yourself.
I know. It was really sad. And then I was like, oh, shocker, Tom Schwartz is not being respectful to a woman.
I know. But I just don't even feel like he's such a schmuck that I feel like it's just totally like, whoop. And since he and Joe are like so similar, he just completely was like, oh, I literally am friends with you and we have sex sometimes. And I don't want to be in a relationship. Like
he thinks he's being very clear, but he isn't at all.
Right. He's being so convoluted. But it was sad. And I thought it was like, she wanted to go to this thing, which this is just the pure like female desperation. And we have all been there, where you are just like, I will overlook all the glaring signs in front of me just to be with him and like do whatever. And then he'll fall in love with me too. But it's like,
I can be that casual, cool girl.
Yes. It's like they literally all put wrists together with green single wristbands. And then she was so upset when he actually like kissed somebody else, because in her mind, she wanted him to be like, I don't like anybody else here but you.
Right.
So that was sad. I was glad a little bit later that like they had that conversation for two reasons. I was glad because number one, I'm hoping that means the end of Joe for the rest of this season. And number two, I'm glad that she kind of stood up for herself. And when he was
I was like, maybe we should, when she was like, let's not hang out at all then. He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Like, thank you. First of all, if a guy ever was calling me by a not super attractive male's name.
And like clearly you've
been friend zoned
right.
too. Like, come on, girl. I mean, yeah, but I was glad when she stood up for herself too. And I felt bad when she's
like, I'm gonna go call my dad.
When they were on the couch and it was like she still was like, I want the best for you. It's like, it's okay to be sad. Like, it's okay to be like, you kind of led me on here.
Right.
But then that's such a thing. Like, I've been in that situation too, where it's like, it doesn't matter what I say, so I'm not even going to say my feelings.
Right.
So, but I am hoping that's the last we see of her until the reunion, because I don't see another reason why we need to bring her back into the...
Well, her and Lala are BFFs, so...
Don't get me started. Going back to the girls' night thing, speaking of that, when Lala says, like, hey, I hung out with Joe, I totally see where Katie is coming
She's like,
from.
Why? And that's like just the whole problem with Lala too. It's like, why are you giving all these other people the time of day when you're saying that we're your friends?
Yeah. Like, if you did that to me, like if I had gone through
like, what's
everything
the point
with Katie
of doing that either?
Like, it's like it would be different if you were friends with her before.
Right.
But like Lala was not even talking to Joe before. Like, she's going out of her way to make communication with her now. And like, yeah, I would be upset by that. I'd be like,
what is the point of this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, she was... I know.
And in the after
then
show...
she's like, get over it. This is the same, like, why are you guys... You need to get over Rachel and Joe. And I was like...
Excuse me?
Huh? Or she's like, they weren't even your best friends anyway or something. I'm like, where was that? And why'd you have to throw in the Rachel part?
So unnecessary. In the after show, Lala totally doubles down on that with
Katie. She can't stop.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't care if they want to harbor this hatred, then they can go right ahead, but I'm not doing that. I'm just going to do me. And she's like, if they want to call me not loyal, like, I have stood up for all these people. I've been a dog in everybody else's fight and nobody has stuck up for me. Like, Lala, just because you're erratic and the loudest in the room doesn't mean that, like, you're sticking up for people.
Projecting onto Sandoval what you want to say to Randall.
Exactly. And like, people didn't even ask you to stick up for them.
You chose to do that because
you chose to insert yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And you didn't like Sandoval the whole friggin' time. Right. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's not about... It's like, wouldn't expect her as my friend to be mad at these people, but to go out of your way to be friends with them is the weird part.
Just respect what I'm feeling and don't go out of your way to hang out with them. Mm-hmm. Like, hello. She's just...
I feel like at the reunion, why she's like, I just look at everyone differently is because they call her out.
Yeah, and she's not used to be called out. Yeah, she's not used to that.
Because she surrounds herself with yes people all the time.
Right. Blah, blah, blah. We already talked about the Joe and Schwartz thing. Then we meet, they go paintballing. We meet Tom's new assistant, Craig. He definitely, in my opinion, seems more of Tom's vibe as far as like a friend, but there is a 0% chance he's doing all the stuff Anne was doing.
Right.
So he's just another yes man for Tom to surround himself with. And then we're at the paintball thing, and it brought to mind, did you go paintballing with us that one time? Because we went twice.
I was literally saying that to my husband. I'm like, I hated it. It hurts.
Did you die when Brock was in shorts?
Oh, I don't even know.
He was literally wearing shorts.
Like, dang, you're gonna have freaking bruises on welts. Literally, ugh.
That was fun though when we did that. When my family came into town, it was like some of my cousins and then like aunts and uncles and stuff, and we needed like a whole team. So we had like you came. I think some of our other neighbors came too. And we went, I don't even know where the paintball place was.
No, I know. I'm thinking about that now. Like, where was I? just remember hiding in the building.
Yeah.
Not doing anything or like shooting
out the windows. Yeah.
Not standing up.
They would hurt when they hit you. Yeah. They really did hurt.
I thought it was weird that you got hit once and you were out.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I got hit, I think, twice, and I didn't want to get hit anymore, so I was hiding.
But yeah, it was.
I remember when, speaking of that, going to that paintball thing because the family's from Ireland, and he was driving on the wrong side of the road, and I didn't say anything, and I was like, and then he's like, why didn't you? I'm pretty sure he said, like, why didn't you say something? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I was too scared.
Oh, anyway. Yeah, that was fun. We were so young then.
We were.
But it was funny how, like, all the guys were out there and then the girls were just sitting at a picnic table, again, talking crap. And poor, like, Allie, I'm like, don't get involved, Allie. Don't say anything that can incriminate yourself. I think she does a pretty good job of, like, being a neutral party, honestly. And then basically Joe and Schwartz had their conversation at the house that we already talked about, and that was pretty much the episode. Yep. I'm trying to think. I wrote a couple extra notes about the after show, but I think I already talked about them. Oh, the last thing I was going to mention was Schwartz went into a little bit more detail about him and Joe's relationship, and he was like fully throwing her under the bus. He's like,
Shocker.
By the time filming started, like, our relationship had just kind of fizzled out, and I thought that's the way he that was it. Communicated, and we'd had conversations, and it was over. Exactly. It's like,
why'd you have her on the show, Schwartz?
Like, it's just so delusional, but like, that's just such a typical, not to be like, oh, man versus woman, but that really is just a typical man thing where it's like, oh, well, I mean, you've served your purpose, but like, I still like hanging out with you, and also maybe we'll still sleep together. So I'll just keep you kind of baited and on the hook. Mm-hmm. And make you seem like we're more than we are.
Right.
But like, I'm going to tell everybody else. So like, no, she's crazy. Like, we've said all this. I've done all this when really you haven't. Or maybe behind closed doors, you've just said a completely different thing.
Yep.
So it was just annoying to hear him say that. But you're right. It was not unexpected. No. So anyway, I don't know, the Valley... Basically just all racist stuff was brought up again, which was a little exhausting to rehash. And the other thing I was shocked about is that Luke is 32. I would have thought at least 37. Just based on his scruffy look. Yeah. But I thought it was weird. I don't know, did you watch it? Okay,
well, I'm going to let some of them pile up and then...
binge.
Yeah.
It's not worth going over the whole thing, but it is just, like, fun to watch it, I guess. But the thing that was annoying to me is, like, Luke and Kristen are, you know, on this baby bandwagon. And then Kristen's like, well, our relationship is better than some of these other people that are married. I'm like, yeah, because you guys haven't been together that long, Kristen. Right. Like, of course you're still having sex all the time. Of course you're still in the lovebird stage.
That's kind of a big age difference between those two.
I know. Because Kristen is...
40.
I was going to say 41 or 4. Oh, 44?
She's like, let me look it up real quick. I thought she was like...
Well, that's why older. I was shocked when he was 32. I'm like, I thought for sure he was closer to 40. And that makes me feel even...
Oh, no, she's 41.
Oh, okay.
Jax is 44.
Oh, well, even still, 41. I mean, I see why she wants to have a baby sooner rather than later.
Right.
But it's just like, I think...
You just have a baby with anybody.
Well, she could have done that plenty of times in the past if she really wanted just a kid. But it's just not fair to say, oh, our relationship is so much better. You haven't been together as long. Right. And these other people have children and they are married. And that changes the whole dynamic.
Yep.
Like, girl. But That's Kristen
I know.
Doty.
And as far as we know, she's not pregnant now. So
no, I know. That's a little sad for her. And the other thing, Jax and Brittany, like, because Cruz is in some speech therapy and stuff, and it was like kind of emotional to watch them. Like, they had someone come into the house and they were just like watching her interact with him, and he's trying to say words and stuff, and like just the look of like worry but also encouragement on their faces. It's like, you know, I don't have kids, but like that just must be so hard, because you do want your kids to just be meeting all the standards and the benchmarks. And like Jack said, he's like, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I do compare my kids to other kids. And, you know, like it makes me feel like I'm not doing things right. Like that is that's just like a really hard thing that I think they're sharing on TV.
I know, even with my son, because I am having like these full-blown philosophical conversations with them, and he can repeat everything of Minecraft right back to me there, which he, for a minute there, the teacher told us he was a little behind, like kind of was getting, he wasn't as good on letters as he was numbers, but then we've been working with him and he's gotten like a ton better. But it was like, ooh, like I was like, am I being lazy because I wasn't like really working with him on these letters and stuff? And it's like, it just kind of escaped me, because it's like I'm having these conversations with him and he was conversating really young too.
Right.
So it's like, oh, like the basics were there. Yeah. It's like they just, so I mean, it's pretty much, he's doing really good right now, but it was just like it was like a wake up call. Yeah. I'm like, wait, is he like falling behind? Is everyone else having this problem? Like, is he far behind? It's scary.
I know. I remember seeing on Heidi Montag's Snap story the one time too, which they share a lot of stuff about their kids and stuff, but Gunnar, their older one, the kindergarten teacher had called and requested a meeting or whatever, and she thought it was, oh my God, like, is he gonna want to hold Gunnar back? Is he this far behind? Like, we thought he was on track and doing okay, and there were some things that we could work on, and then it turns out that it was just the meeting that they need to have with every student, but like he didn't say it that way, and so she just went to worst case scenario.
Like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, it
is he
really
a bully?
is.
Is he getting bullied?
Right, like, and so I think just seeing that with Brittany and Jax, and then now knowing that they are in this separation, like, you know, that just is, to me, like stuff with your kids like that is just so raw to be sharing. And
it is.
And like, it was, when you watch it, like, you know, Jax is Jax, but he's there, and like you can see the look of like concern on his face of just like, please, like, I don't want my son to have any struggles. Because like, what parent does?
I know.
But yeah, I mean, I just continue to keep watching this show. Oh, the other thing, I keep forgetting to bring it up about Jasmine, right? That's her name. But that she was on Nick's season of The Bachelor.
Yeah, I know, I heard that.
Because I saw her, and I'm like, wait a second.
I know, I watched his season, but I want to look what she looks like again.
Yeah, I mean,
How old is she?
I don't know. I mean, I would think she's around the same age as them. Apparently, she's dating a woman now.
Oh.
And I think she mentioned they'd been together for a while. I didn't know that. Not that it really matters, and that hasn't been
She's
a main.
35.
Oh, so a little bit younger.
Younger than Nick Viall.
Does that surprise you?
No.
She's actually a little too old for him.
10 years too old, really.
But yeah, I just keep forgetting about that. And I think it's kind of funny that I think she was on that first and then Vanderpump, right? Because she was like,
I've never seen her on Vanderpump.
I thought she was like in the background on Vanderpump though.
Like in the back?
Like a friend in the, like, but not a main person.
I've never seen her on Vanderpump.
Okay.
The
well, you
talking
just
role.
rewatched it all, so I might be just misremembering.
Yeah.
But I like somehow knew that she was involved. Maybe I just saw it on like social media. They were like together in the past or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I never seen her
on the show
talking, but that doesn't mean she wasn't in a background thing.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But
like,
I don't know, unless I'm misremembering. Maybe she did do like one talk.
I believe more your memory because, like I said, you just rewatched it. Yeah. So, but I wonder how she even got in with the group.
I don't know. LA is small.
That's true. Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter. She just kind of pops up every now and again anyway. She's not like a mainstay in the valley. So I don't even know if she actually lives in the valley. They didn't even say her and that other friend who I don't know his name with the funny hair.
Zach?
Is it? I think you're right. Zach? Yeah. Well, those are all my thoughts. My recommendation this week is another podcast, but we are going outside of the pop culture realm, and it is going to be American Scandal. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think I ever brought this up before, but I got really obsessed with listening to it. It has 62 seasons, I think, but each one is 4 to 5 episodes each, and it talks about a scandal in American history. So the one I'm listening to right now is about a scandal that happened with Richard Nixon's vice president that I never knew about, and then another one previously had done a Watergate, and one did the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. But it's really, I like it because it's just bite-sized bits of history, and they kind of go into more details that you don't really hear in a book or something. And it makes it entertaining. So I like American Scandal. That's what I would recommend.
Yes. I am going to recommend diving into the series of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I may have already recommended this, but I just finished the third book.
Can't get enough.
I'm so sad. I'm so invested in the characters.
Are there going to be more?
Well, there's 2 more. There's a mini one, and then there's a 4th one. Oh, wait. A 5th one, and then a 6th one is in the works.
Oh, okay.
But I think the new ones, the 5th one, is from a different character's perspective.
But you just have to wait on the wait list to get it? Okay.
Yep, and then I guess that same author, that Sarah J. Maas, has another or 2 more series books or series of books.
I know what you're gonna be.
And apparently it's Throne of Glass is the first book, but apparently that series is amazing.
Really?
Yeah, they're it's way better than this one, and I really like this one.
How does she write all this?
I know, you've got to wonder, the worlds she creates.
Yeah.
It's just, and the characters, the way they're described, but apparently this Throne of Glass is even more world building and everything.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just I just want to be there. I just picture it all in my head, and it's just...
Who narrates? Does she?
Or no, it's some girl. Somebody? But she did, which I thought was interesting. At the end, she said that she was a member of SAG-AFTRA.
Oh.
So I thought that I've never heard a narrator say that ever. I was
maybe it was during the strike stuff and she plugged it or something. Or I don't know.
Or maybe because she... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because these are major books and maybe a ton of people that maybe it was enough for her to
be in the union.
But I've also a couple times I'm this person's voice sounds familiar, and then I'm oh yeah, I have heard them narrate before. So it's I wonder what there must have been something that caused her to say that. I know, I've never heard that before.
Maybe some new thing they have to put.
I know.
I think that Rebel Wilson's book was supposed to be coming out or did come out.
And I'm on the wait list, but it was 1 copy. But then I thought I saw something about he was trying to sue her or something, and maybe.
Yeah.
But if it's already out,
what is he gonna do?
I cry about it. I'm sorry. And like the thing is with these like celebrity memoirs, they're like are really big for like a couple weeks and then they get forgotten about. Like I just don't think it's worth like
going this whole big thing. I know. The last thing I was gonna say, I almost forgot. Did you see that the BravoCon dates were dropped?
I did, but not till
2025.
Year.
But this is perfect, Hannah, because it gives us plenty of time.
These tickets gonna be?
I don't know. This gives us plenty of time for us to grow our podcast and then get invited.
Right.
We have over a year. By November 2025, we could be living out in LA and it'll just be a hop, skip, and a jump to Vegas.
Right.
And we'll have VIP passes. We have to manifest.
BravoCon?
I think it would be so fun to go.
It just seems like everybody says it's like so overcrowded, but I guess if you had a VIP, it would be better.
Yeah, or maybe we'll be put up as panelists.
Right.
If we could just get in Andy's back pocket.
I know.
Like, come on. What more would we need? I did think about, like, when I was watching Watch Happens Live last night, I was Googling, like, how to get in the Watch Happens Live audience.
I know.
Like, I would love to go.
I know. That would be fun.
They said...
Especially because it is such a small, like,
I know, it's
audience.
so intimate. They said that a lot of them are, like, given away through charitable donations and stuff or auctions. But then somebody online said that one time they, like, DM'd Andy and he, like, got him tickets to go.
So we need, like, a sob story.
I know. Like, one of us needs to break our legs and the other needs to break their arms. But we need to plan a trip to New York. And then when we're there, we can just bomb Andy with messages on every platform and see if he'll respond.
And he'll block us.
Because we're just annoying.
No restraining order.
We can't go into Manhattan.
We'll have like the picture on the Watch What Happened in the clubhouse. Like, do not let them in.
Oh my God! But if it was in the camera angle, it would be worth it.
Like
Infamous.
Weird picture.
If we ever do our new cover,
it'll be that. Oh no.
Hey, any publicity is good publicity, baby. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us for another week. Don't forget to follow us on our social medias. Don't forget to give us nice ratings, nice reviews, and tell your friends about us. You know, that'd be nice. Spread the word. Yes. Some organic, what's that? Grassroots marketing?
I don't know. Oh,
is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
We need you guys. You're our boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Tell the world about our pod. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Bye.